What is up, my friends? You are very, very welcome along to Sunday night's Late Night Agenda, where I am considering this a declaration of war. Say what you want on that. You're probably going, hang on, Craig, what do you want about? Declaration of war? What's this? Bear with me. Over the next couple of hours, we'll go through it, and I'll tell you why I've sort of changed my perspective a little bit. All that and more over the next couple of hours. We're also going to be talking about Georgie Mamardashvili. We're going to be asking about the stream title of tonight, Jarrad Branthwaite. What's going on there, you're going to ask me, right? I heard all the people in the chat saying not happening, not happening. I'm not saying it is. I'm literally giving you the bookies odds. And they're saying that money's going down and he's 10 to 11 on. Or he's on to join Liverpool. Now, again, I'm not saying to you Liverpool are agreeing a deal with him, but those odds have crept down quite a lot over the past 24 hours or so. So keep an eye on that situation. Is it about the email? No and yes. The email triggered a thought process. But no, I've no issue with the person in that email directly anymore. But it did get me thinking. And I spent my day reading, studying, trying to figure stuff out. And a light bulb moment went off in my head, which I will explain. But we're not here to talk about me at the minute. Let's talk about the Reds. So, let's have a look at the odds and we'll go from there on Jarrad Branthwaite. Because I think most of us in the chat would probably agree that he's a damn good young footballer. And most of us in the chat would agree that he would certainly do a job at Liverpool. Now, of course, I'm not an idiot. I'm aware of the difficulties of making moves between Liverpool and Everton. There isn't too many of them have happened in my lifetime. Xavier, Barmby, I think maybe, and a couple of... I'm not Barmby. Was it Barmby? I think Barmby, yeah. A couple of others maybe in my lifetime. But why are the odds so low? Because it doesn't really make sense, does it? Now, odds are just a reflection of where the money is going. It doesn't mean the bookies may know something we don't know. But those odds can't be ignored in my eyes. 4 to 5 on. So it's more likely he'll sign than not sign according to the odds on the bookies. Again, that's just one take on all of this. But we do know we're looking for a centre-back. We do know that we left Joe Gomez out of the squad yesterday and he's getting interest from the likes of Newcastle, Aston Villa and a few other things. So take that as you will. I mean, it's an interesting talking point for us, and I guess the first question I'm going to put in tonight's poll is, would you take Jarrad Branthwaite at Liverpool? So bear with me while I just write that out, and then I'll explain my... I couldn't think of a better phrase than declaration of war, so bear with me. Right. By the way, what do we think of the Chelsea game earlier on? Interesting one, right? It's so funny seeing Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez just waltzed through Kovacic, just strolled straight through the middle of them. A la Zubamendi, by the way, earlier on as well. And we'll talk about Zubamendi and his fantastic, biggest, best club in the world, losing 2-1 at home to Rayo Vallecano on the opening day, just to give that dose of realism back to him. So, question is, would you take him? Yes or no to Jarrad Branthwaite? Vote away in the poll, and then we can talk about why you think it's ridiculous or possible. I rate Branthwaite, but isn't 75 mil a bit of a stretch? It's a high figure. Look, yes, it is. Now, a couple of things, I guess, go into that price tag. Homegrown, that adds a couple of million quid to it. Age, again, that probably adds a couple of million quid to it. But sometimes, and remember, this is what we're being told. I'm going to read you out something from David Ornstein, and then I'll try to tie it all together. 1 second. So, David Ornstein said, Liverpool are only going to sign players they're absolutely convinced by. They aren't going to be persuaded by external pressure. We've got to watch them in the last couple of weeks of the window, but the same rules will apply with the transfer approach. So, here's my thinking. If we're only going to sign the person that ticks every box, that's fair enough, but you also have to be willing to pay whatever it takes to sign the person that ticks all these boxes. And I'm sure valuation and value is somewhere in their calculations. So Branthwaite would certainly tick a lot of boxes for us lay people, but of course we're too thick to understand the intricacies of the geniuses that run these things. We're just mere mortals, we wouldn't get it. And that's kind of what triggered me into this frustration today. So I talked to you about the email I received yesterday, and after I put that to bed and processed it, I kind of got thinking a little bit about it. So I went spending the day reading comment sections, Echo, Athletic, all the usual ones, just to see what the temperature is within the fan base and what the divide really is. Because we all think sometimes the divide between Liverpool fans is local versus non-local. I think that's a bit of a false statement. From my reading of the situation, and of course my light bulb moment in my own little tiny chimp-like brain, I think it's a divide between those who believe they're superior and intellectually above the rest of us and us thickos. That's where I think the divide is. So, one of the things I was told was, I hate seeing people like you get stuff so wrong because you don't understand what the way the club is ran is. Okay, I'm open to the idea that I don't understand the intricacies of running a football club, but here's the thing. Explain it to me then. If you're so morally superior and you know what's going on, explain it to me then. To follow on from that, if I am to put my trust and faith and belief in the Geek Squad, which is what I'm going to call these people from now on, who think they're... And I'm not talking about Edwards and Hughes here, by the way. They're bona fide geniuses. They don't come into the equation. But they do have a fault. Sometimes there are unquantifiable things in any type of a negotiation. For example, over Zubimendi, you can argue that they ticked every box, that they got all the right vibes from him, but ultimately they failed. Why did they fail? Well, I don't know, but I'm open to the idea that they could have a lack of street smarts. They could have a lack of reading the situation or reading the person. So numbers, stats and intellect don't cover everything in life. They cover you in certain things, but there are always little bits that you can learn, little handy little tidbits. And for me, I'm sick of being spoken down to by these people. I'm sick of seeing us Liverpool fans classed as lunatics if we dare question the narrative. So I am somebody who has always tried to credit these owners for the good stuff, but I get labelled an FSG out lunatic, when the fact of the matter is, my big gripe with them is just on transfer spend. I've never ever once been somebody who thinks the money's been funneled out of the club to the Red Sox or any of that, but we all get labelled as that. Most of you guys in here, you're watching, so you're kind of probably of a similar thought process to me on a lot of stuff about Liverpool. Or you're a very open-minded person, and if that's the case, fair play for being in here, giving us a listen. But how many of you guys feel like you're being spoken down to? You're an FSG out nut job. You're down the rabbit hole. All of these other type of things that they like to just paint us as and vilify us with. Explain it to us then. If we're all so dumb, take the time to explain it to us and get off your moral fucking high horse. Because I'm not quite as stupid as some people maybe believe that I am. And I would dare to say that most of you guys and girls watching would be similar. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all of us being rinsed by people who just think they're morally superior and better to the rest of us. Well, football is not a thinking man's game in every aspect. Football is a simple game enjoyed by working class people all around the world. That's where its roots are, that's how it's grown. So, these hypocrisies, I like to point out, were only exacerbated today when I watched Enzo Fernandez walk out and captain Chelsea against Manchester City, looking around the stadium thinking, I wonder how many Chelsea fans aren't in there because they've been called out for racism, or how many Man City fans aren't in. And this applies to every club. But my point is not a dig at Chelsea fans. My point is, where's him being held to account? Where's the singing of racist songs and lazy stereotypical tropes being held to account? Doesn't happen because he makes people money. So the rules don't apply to everybody. They only apply to us lemmings, us mere mortals, who have to listen to these argumentative, cocky assholes tell the rest of us that we're thick as pig shit. And I'm not having it anymore. Right, I need to get a couple of super chats up on screen. Bear with me 1 second, my man. So yeah, I spent my day looking into this type of stuff, researching, seeing what the temperature of the fan base is and how people are feeling. And I think a lot of people are feeling disenfranchised, like they don't belong. And that's a problem in a football club that's built on an ethos of bringing people together. And no matter where you're from, what your background, your religion, your sexual orientation, your nationality, this football club is a club for everybody. Except when it isn't. And that doesn't get spoken about quite enough, in my humble opinion. First super chat of the night coming up on screen for you now. Splash the cash on the lad. Everton are going to spend that money like shite anyway, so really, we're really helping them. I'd love us to sign Jarrad Branthwaite tomorrow, mate. And I don't mind if it's 70 million or 75 million, because remember, all I have to believe is that these guys are only going after the best and their top talents. After that, it's over to them, right? So they've had all summer. And yet today I still see Romano saying things like, Liverpool's plan is to still be active. They're still talking with agents. They're still moving. They're still looking to do stuff in the market. Hasn't he been saying that all summer? Where is the movement in the market? Because one day is rolling into another. Now it's Sunday, August the 18th. Let's call it Monday the 19th, because we're probably not going to see it and done at this time of the night. Where is the movement? Where are the signings? Or are we being bluffed again? I don't know the answer to that. It's a rhetorical question. Everton will not sell to us. Joe is Mr. Utility, and we need that for top 4 competitions. To be the new Milner, it would be great honour. Joe for penalties. So, on the Joe Gomez situation, I honestly don't know what's going on there. Like, I'm not trying to be clever about it. I don't know. My own understanding from a few weeks ago was that the club will be fair with Joe. And if he wants to move away, they'll listen to him. If they can find the right move, it'll happen. If they can't, it won't. Booked this weekend off, and I'm back in work tomorrow for overtime. Really enjoyed seeing us back playing, and seeing you in the evening makes my night. Thank you, Joe. It was lovely yesterday, mate, to be back watching the Reds playing. And I'm so buzzing about those halftime tweaks that Arne Slot made. We'll talk a little bit tonight as well about those dual rates and exactly how it differed from the first half to the second. The Athletic have done some good work on this, and I'll reference a couple of their pieces later on. Is there any update on the Valencia goalkeeper? Yes, there's another potential hiccup and headache in that. Let me take you to an article that was written in the Sunday newspapers that said, where is it? The Sunday Mirror said, Jadon Sancho's future could hold the key to Manchester United hijacking Liverpool's move for Valencia goalkeeper Georgi Mamaradashvili. Now, I don't know exactly what the story is there, but you would guess it's that they want to offload Sancho to Valencia to bring in Mamadashvili. Something along those lines is my reading of that situation. Now, I don't follow United fan content, so I don't know if they are chasing Mamadashvili, but I do know that we're still dragging our heels on it, and that's okay for this particular transfer, because we don't have a time sensitive issue with regards to needing a player in. But it could become time sensitive if United start getting in his ear and are willing to pay Valencia the 40 million euro, or give them a player worth what they believe to be 40 million euro. Then perhaps it becomes a problem. And what we certainly can't have happen is United beating us to a player in this transfer window again. That's more embarrassment that we can't have happen. So they can't now say that he isn't a target, because despite James Pearce and some others saying that Liverpool aren't actively looking to bring in a goalkeeper in this window, we know that we are. So yeah, it's confusing, right? That's where we're at. Liverpool value Georgi Mamardashvili. Apparently, according to reports, because I don't have an insight on this one, about 30, 35 million, including add-ons. Valencia won 40 million euro. So the gap isn't too big. You would have to assume somebody will give in or they'll meet in the middle. So hopefully we do get some positive news on this one soon, because it looks like the player is certainly open to the move. Well, at least he's very open to coming to the Premier League. Not quite sure, because I don't know the gentleman, what his situation is with preferences, but Bournemouth are open to the idea of taking him on loan. And United probably do have bigger fish to fry. They really need to be bringing in another goalkeeper after they've just signed Onana and spent that money on him. My first game when I was 9, now 56, 47 years I supported this British club. Media have got worse. I will take players that help the team, said David Massey. Absolutely. I'm with you on that, mate. That's all we want, is players to come in that we can look at and go, yep, I can see where that player was brought in to be utilised, but we just keep getting spoon-fed tripe and asked to swallow it. Eddie Cox-Wilkins said, thank you for everything, Craig, FSG out. So, as I said, I had a bit of a light bulb moment yesterday. I was sitting there last night, really late, and it kind of popped into my head. I always assumed there was a local versus non-local agenda or argument with regards to the owners. I'm talking about the owners here in particular. But then when I went over to Liverpool, and certainly the Anfield Agenda audience were not very pro-FSG. Now, of course, not everyone is FSG out, and many people live in the middle where they've done some good, some bad, and you take it as you see it. What your own tolerance level is before you're pushed over the edge, that of course works for everybody else as well. Not here to judge, except these assholes who think that they're better than the rest of us. And that's where I draw the line. Because these people that are so clever, that think FSG are geniuses, that think that we just don't comprehend the level that these superhumans are working at, explain to me why Trent Alexander-Arnold is inside the last 12 months of his contract. Explain to me what data and numbers and metrics show that that's a good idea. Go ahead. Explain it to me. Explain to me how when FSG are so clever, amazing, and we're all supposed to love them, why we woke up one day to be told that we were joining the Super League, and that all of the history, traditions, and the way we've consumed and watched football over the years is irrelevant. Explain that to me. Explain to me how that's a good thing. Explain to me how trademarking Liverpool from a football perspective, like they tried to do, is a good thing for the rest of us. I'll wait. You can't, because you know it's bollocks. But you just like to feel better than the rest of us. We're not quite as thick as people think. And one of the phrases that was said to me is, if you want to be a serious person, you have to understand and comprehend these things. The fuck I do. I don't want to be a serious person. I want to be a football club fan that can look at my team, my manager, and think, I can dream this year. I can believe this year. But I don't feel that at the minute with the owners. So that's where I'm at with FSG. I'm not a lunatic. I'm not a rabbit down a rabbit hole thinking about conspiracy theories. I'm very, very rational. But I want to learn. Which is why I reached out to the club to try to become informed. But I get blanked and slated. And in what area of life have ignoring people you don't like turned out to be a good thing? In what area of life have stereotyping and pushing people into a corner worked out well for society? It never has. Because it always ends up in a rising. It ends up in a line being drawn. So, bring us together. Inform us. But don't talk down to us. Because that's not going to end well for anybody. People are just going to feel disenfranchised and angered and driven to the more extreme agendas. Which isn't, ironically, this channel, because I like to think I'm a fairly rational human being, but I have a thirst for knowledge. And I refuse to be spoken down to by people who haven't got the moral compass or moral beliefs to lick shit off the end of my shoe. Craig, this is why I think FSG are waiting for Alonso to come in. I mean, if you were Xabi Alonso and you had the opportunity for your next move right now to go to Bayern, who've flashed the cash for Vincent Kompany to give him players to transform his squad, to Real Madrid, who, by the way, let me just read out Real Madrid's front six to you tonight because this is astounding. So, after the defensive line, this is how Real Madrid lined up with their front six tonight. Valverde, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, Rodrigo. But John wants us to believe we can win the Champions League with what we have, when that's what we're up against. Doesn't take a fucking algorithm to figure out that that is a pretty goddamn well-assembled team. That was done, in the main, with some cheap transfers, believe it or not. Look through Real Madrid's transfer business. They leveraged their position, their brand, and their power to get players in, like they're trying to do with Trent. So again, I'm going to ask the Geek Squad, where is the sense, the rationale and the numbers to tell us that letting Real Madrid get in Trent's ear when he's inside the last year of his contract is good business, good practice, or good for the football club? I really would love to hear your answers. Because if we want to win, if we want to go back and have those halcyon days of Thompson and Crazy Horse lifting European Cups again, or that beautiful time under Jurgen, that's what we're against. That Manchester City team that went to Stamford Bridge and rolled over Chelsea today, that's what we're up against. So that's how I feel right now, with 11 days to go in the summer transfer window. I'm getting a bit fed up of hearing about Liverpool being so clever, so patient, willing to remove the outside noise. Yeah, the noise is 61,000 people going inside Anfield. What the fuck is going on? How are we one of the only clubs in Europe that think we're good enough after finishing third to not strengthen? And I do understand and respect Arne Slot's point about improvements on the coaching pitch. Of course. There's a lot to be said for continuity. There's a lot to be said for improvements with coaching. Obviously. There's also a lot to be said for increased competition and unquantifiable things like goodwill. So if you want those fans inside the stadium to continue to have Anfield as the cauldron it is, don't take them for granted. Don't take their money, their support, their loyalty for granted. Give them a reason to believe. I don't have a problem with the owners, but we do need some work done in this window. And that's fine, mate. I'm absolutely sound about that. Because you are entitled to your opinion. And you at least are open to the idea that this transfer window hasn't been acceptable so far. And that's sound. I get it. I would never go in on you for that, but I don't have a particularly long list of gripes with the owners. I just think they're cheap. That's my breaking point. David Maston said, do you think we're a sell to buy club again? Honestly, I don't know, because we're doing one part of that this summer. But look, I refuse to believe that we would let Joe Gomez go out the door this summer unless something was in the works. And we've heard chatter about Inacio. Today's a little bit about Braithwaite. But again, I'm going to come back to the question of, if the knowledge is out there of who people want, what are we doing? Like, why silence? Why nothing happening? But the days going by, and the ball and the can being kicked down the road further and further. I've already seen some people today saying, well, after yesterday, I don't know if we do need people. And I can totally understand that response because, hey, you won. We can see Slot can make tweaks, changes. Absolutely. But here's what he can't do. Bring a player off the injured list when they inevitably break down a little bit because of the sheer volume that their bodies are being asked to do over the course of season after season after season. So if everybody's fit, yeah, this squad is decent. It absolutely 100% is. But going into the season thinking that we're not going to pick up injuries is very optimistic, to say the least. Ryan O'Driscoll said, honestly, that Real Madrid team is scary. Who wouldn't, as a footballer, want to play in that side, especially as our pathetic owners can't get their act together? No ambition from owners. Only thing that may save them is Trent. He's a local lad. And that will be leveraged a lot to him and his agent. Those heartstrings will be... And look, that's part of the dance. That's part of the negotiation. So I spent a good while last night on the phone with Brian, LFC USA. Every so often we have a video call and we have a chat and we talk about life in general. But one thing that came up because he lives in Boston was, of course, the Red Sox. And his reading of it, living in the city, is that they're not very well thought of, FSG, as owners. I'm not talking about anybody as individual people, because I don't know them as people. I can only judge them on what I see attached to Liverpool. They're not really highly regarded in their hometown city. So again, to the cultists who believe that they can do no wrong, why might that be? Because most of us who are emotionally invested in something, and I get it, sometimes you need to remove emotion as an investor, but sometimes emotion's important in life, especially when it's your hometown club. And they stripped the Red Sox of a lot of their best players. They broke apart a winning team and didn't rebuild properly. And that fan base is pissed off. So why would that be? Adam, thank you, mate. I am good. I'm good, Adam, but honestly, my voice is going, mate. It's been a crazy busy last couple of weeks. And my jaw, which I have ongoing issues with, it's been acting up a lot over the past few days. You probably see me taking breaks every so often. Like, I'll stop for a half a second. My jaw's in tatters. I'm going to see a physio on Thursday for it. Right. Okie dokie. Hey Craig, hair looks fine as always. Oh, it's not messy today anyway. I have to say I was really impressed with Gravenberch, but we do need a DM as I see the potential. It was Ipswich. Look, I was happy with Ryan Gravenberch's performance as well. I was most happy with Arne Slot though. That ruthlessness at half time, spotting and going into the dressing room and saying, we don't need to talk tactics, we just need to win our duels. And if we win our duels, the rest will be right. And he was right. And that's why I'm so excited about this guy. And that's why I'm so insistent that we make sure he's given the tools to do his job. Because I really like him. I really do like him. So let's have a look at those duels and what they might mean yesterday. So in the first half, Liverpool won 22 of their duels around the pitch and lost 31. So we lost 9 more duels than we won. In the second half, after Arne Slot changed Canade on for Kwanzaa and made a few other tweaks, we won 24 duels and lost 20, which is a big swing. So it's a swing of, 13? From being -9 to being +4. That's why we were able to eventually grind them down and win. Because he spotted that. And that is extremely clever. To have the knowledge and specialists around him to look at that and go, very quickly, inside 45 minutes, to go into that dressing room and go, never mind the tactics, just be better. Win your duels. Don't lose your one-on-ones. And it worked. Fair play. Sam said, my jaw hurts too. It's all the FSG BS we're fed. Loved Slot's decision making, said Ryan O'Driscoll. Super impressed. I loved his ruthlessness, bro. I love that. I love the fact that he just went straight in and went, okay, this isn't working. You can talk to Jarrell afterwards. You can reassure Jarrell about his future and all the other stuff if he has any doubts. But he made it right in game time, made the big call, got it right, and we won. And look, Jarrell Quans is a fine defender. There's no issues there. Like, nobody's thinking Jarrell isn't good enough. But for whatever reason, he's a human being. On that day, he wasn't winning his battles. And Canade came in and did a little bit better. And we won the game. Score prediction for the Brentford game. Oh, God, it's a little bit early, Adam. So, we're going to see some similar things, Adam, in the Brentford game. Obviously, Brentford are going to use their height, build and physicality to try to win those second balls and use Ivan Toney's strength to hold defenders off and do what we know they're going to do. So if we can man up, for want of a better phrase, and impose our physicality and match them in the battles, technically you would think we'll win the game because we have better technical players. So I think we'll win, but I never expect an easy game against Brentford because Thomas Frank's teams work very hard and they're very clever. And I also expect it to be another stop-start game with Brentford players, particularly before they go behind, start going to ground to waste time and break up play, which is a pattern you see a lot when we play, or a lot of top teams play. You know, don't give them a time to make flow, break down the game, stop-start nature, go to ground, all the stupid little niggly things that stop Liverpool getting into a flow. I expect that. So 2-0, something like that maybe. 2-0, 3-1, something along those lines. Soren, hi Craig. In perspective of the Zubamendi saga, don't you think they are going to keep everything secret from now on? By the way, at the game on Sunday, we still need a DM. I love Gravenberch, but he's not good enough on defence. So, when I spoke with David Lynch, and again, people who are at the Liverpool show might remember if this was on or off stage, I can't remember which time, he said that it certainly wasn't Liverpool that wanted to let the world know about our interest in Zubamendi. Somebody got into a source somewhere. I don't know, I can't remember who broke the story. Was it Paul Joyce? I don't remember. But from Liverpool's side, that wasn't a journalist being briefed situation. Liverpool didn't want that news coming out. So that came, and then Liverpool had to react. And we ended up with egg on our faces because of it. So again, I'm trying to be balanced and fair and say that that wasn't the club. The club always want to keep these things under wraps. David said, FSG are scumbags. My final straw was when the Boston Globe falsely claimed that... I don't want to get into the transgendered boxing world, mate. So, but that was your line in the sand. And I appreciate you for speaking so openly about your own take on FSG. Because nobody's going to convince me they give a shit. And I don't care how people perceive me anymore. Because if you don't think that there are a lot more people like me and David and everybody else in this chat around the world who are feeling frustrated right now, then you are just putting your fingers in your ears and going la 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 la, because the fume is real. I hope Arnott and Hughes see how good Mbeumo is, said Eli W. Thank you, Eli. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation over the summer when a few people have brought up Brian Mbeumo. Do you know what shocked me, Eli? I didn't realise he was as young as he was. I thought he was like 27, 28 when he's only, I think, 23, 24. He's a really hard worker. He is. He's a manager's dream, I would say. But would he ever be prolific enough? I don't know the answer to that. But he's an honest as God, hard as they come, great pro. managers would love to work with him. I've no doubt about that. Mr. Ipswich Town, how are you, my friend? And welcome in. And welcome, as I said, I think I've said to you before, welcome back to the Premier League, bro. I think we did well for the first half yesterday. You did. Of course, you negated us. You won your battles. I mean, we spoke about the numbers. I'm not sure if you were in the stream a few minutes ago. In the first half, and again, credit to the Athletic and Opta. These are their numbers. Said that Ipswich Town won 31 battles in the first half and Liverpool only won 22. And then there was a swing of 13 in the second half where we won 24 battles around the pitch and Ipswich won 20. So you absolutely did show up, mate. And my hope as I watched the game yesterday, nervously I should say because of the first half, was that we grind you down eventually and we do start to turn the tide a little bit. And I don't know if it was the emotion of the big day or Liverpool's relentlessness, but it wasn't. It was anything but a mismatch, mate. You guys did Kieran McKenna and your fans really proud, as I expect you to do this season. And I promise you, bro, there's a lot of goodwill from a lot of fan bases towards Ipswich and the way they're going about stuff. So, yeah, unlucky yesterday, but welcome back to the big time. And I genuinely hope you do well this season, except when you play us, of course. So, Branthwaite to Liverpool is the poll that's up, and we asked, would you take him? 30% people say no, 70% say yes. I would definitely be in the yes camp. Obviously, you have to respect people's thoughts if it's a price issue, and of course if they don't think he's good enough. But my argument, I guess, would be, well, we've 11 days or so left in the window. We need a centre-back. Remember that panic that set in when we wondered, was Jarrell Kwanzaa taken off because of an injury? Do you remember what that felt like? Now, imagine that if he was out for 8 or 9 months. Then we would have been up a certain creek without a paddle. And I'm so relieved he isn't. But it shows already that the squad depth isn't there. You're an injury or so away from another crisis. Here's Chelsea's squad depth. You ready? Goalkeeper: Sanchez, Jorgensen, Bettinelli, Petrovic, Bergstrom, Kepa. So 6 for the keepers. Left back: Cucurella, Vega, Chilwell. Right back: James, Gusto, Achimpong. Left centre back: Colwill, Badishile, Humphreys. Right centre back: Fofana, Disasi, Tosin, Chalobah. DM: Caicedo, Lavia. Ahead of them: Fernandez, Gallagher, who's going to leave, Casadei, Matos. Up left wing: Neto, Sterling, Mudryk. Right wing: Palmer, Madueke, Gabriel. Attacking midfielders or false nines: Nkunku, Dewsbury Hall, Chukwuemeka, Kellyman, Anjorin, and Terrainen. Up top: Jackson, Guy, Broha, Fofana, Washington, Lukaku, still on their books. But if Diogo Jota picks up an injury, and we're fucked. Because then we're hoping Darwin comes good. By the way, there was something on social media that Connor sent me that I just wanted to clarify. There was a post going around saying that Nunes is liking Instagram posts that are negative about Arne Slot. And our friends at Anything Liverpool obviously looked into it and said this is not true. But, again, it got me thinking, why was that believable? Why were people willing to think that? It's because of the pylon factor. Liverpool Football Club have many fans around the world, but they also have many detractors that don't want us to do well. So the multiplier effect of when something is perceived to be cracking at Liverpool sees people come in and dive on top of things because it's confirmation bias, right? They read something that they want to believe so much that they think it's true, and it spreads like wildfire. What's that old phrase? A lie spreads around the world before the truth has time to get out of bed. Something along those lines. Wow. Sorry, I got Barry, do you know what, mate? I was only wondering if you were okay the other day. Genuinely, I said to my wife, I wonder if everything's alright with Barry. We haven't seen him in the chat now. And honestly, I didn't mean it, and I don't care about it from a financial standpoint, bro. I was just worried. So, sorry I've not been in for a while. A new business venture is taking all my efforts at present. Hope you and the family are good. Ditto the AA team and AA legends in the chat. F the brown nosers and Geek Squad. You have every right to an opinion, and many agree with it. Much love. Thank you, Barry. And I hope the business venture's going well. Well, it must be. Yeah, I wish you every success with it. And thanks for dropping in as well. Just good to know that all's good with you, my man. And thank you so much for your ongoing support in every way. Really appreciate it. Someone said, please talk about Ornstein's comments. I did, Danny, but I'll go back over them in a minute for you, my man. I just need to get a quick drink. 1 sec. Barry, again, thank you so much. Yeah, kind of overwhelmed me a little bit there, Barry. Thank you. Honestly, man, thank you so much. But I'm also more than happy to know that all's good and you've a new business venture ticking along. Mark Harding, let me get your super chat up, Mark. And thank you as well, my friend. FSG are only interested in Liverpool's commercial value. They live in a bubble. They know nothing other than add value and sell. Let's hope they sell up. Do you know what, mate? I'm going to put that back up because I think the phrase nail on the head was made for this. You've summarised that, Mark, far better than I probably could have, thinking about it for hours. That's I would agree with you, is what I'm saying, mate. I would agree with that assessment. I'm not speaking for everyone, but certainly that's what they do, is add value to businesses. That's how they make their money. That's what they're there for. To invest, add value, continue to take money, or sell up. So yes, it's right. And that's okay until it isn't. Like I've always said from day one, I have no problem with FSG coming in, making the club better, winning some stuff, making the value soar up, and then whenever they want, sell it up, sail off into the sunset, and take their cash with them. I've never had an issue with that, as long as we were competitive. As long as we looked at the team and felt like we're not being left short. And I don't know how that's too difficult to comprehend for some elitist arseholes that think that we're all tickos. I don't get it. Because sometimes it's not that complicated. So yes, I would absolutely 100% agree with that comment. Thank you. And Barry, I just spotted there as well, Barry. Thank you so much. Barry has also gifted 50 Anfield Agenda memberships to people. Wow. Kiriako said, all of you read the Simon Hughes article from The Athletic. So I don't know what this article is about, and I could be digging myself a hole here, but I'm going to say I do enjoy Simon Hughes' writing. I do. I don't know what this article you're talking about is about, and I could make myself look very silly, but I really do like his work. I think he's a very good journalist. And again, thank you, Barry, as well. Again, 50 gifted memberships as well. Thank you. So, young Harvey Blair, David Lynch has said that Liverpool are open to allowing academy prospect Harvey Blair to leave in a permanent transfer this summer. Is that the... Barry's done it again. He's gifted another 50 memberships. That's now 100 gifted memberships and a 200 quid super chat. Wow. Barry, can you come to the live show, please? So I can just hug you and say thank you for hours. By the way, on that actually, while we're talking about the live show, the tickets are on sale. And Barry, you don't need to buy any tickets, my friend. If you want to come, please do let me know. But if anybody else wants to come along, you can get your tickets with the link pinned to the top of the chat and in the description of the stream. We're going to be there on November the 15th. Myself, Mr. Paddy Doyle, who's going to be doing the music, Mr. Carl Porter, who's going to be doing a stand-up comedy set, and then me who's going to be doing the full Monty. See, Barry, I don't know what I've done in life to deserve kind benefactors and gestures from people like Brian and yourself and others, JC and everybody. I've always said this, mate. I don't know why this channel's catching on, because I'm a normal working class dude who doesn't think that I'm anything special. But you guys clearly have seen something in our community that you feel a belonging to, and for that I'll forever be appreciative. But I don't get it. I've never got it. And I've always felt massive imposter syndrome doing what I'm doing, which is why I see a psychologist every couple of weeks. Top man, Barry, thank you. Because there are days where you feel like tonight, am I a ranting lunatic? Maybe. Am I on here pissing people off, talking about the owners again? But it all genuinely comes from wanting the best for the club. And I don't feel that they do. They want the best for themselves. And sometimes those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes you can have a symbiotic relationship there, but it doesn't feel like it at the minute with the owners. And on Fabrizio Romano's post, which was... where is it? Sorry. Movement is still there in terms of contacts of agents, contacts with clubs, and so Liverpool are still moving, and in case there will be any opportunities in the final 2 weeks, I still expect Liverpool to do something. Mr. Knows Everything has been expecting that all summer. So where is the here we go? I know where the £50 here we go Kylian Mbappe tweet t-shirts are, but where's the actual information and transfers that you're supposed to be the fucking god of? If you know something, say it. If you don't, stop grifting. Leach said, what is actually our squad depth? Do I have a chart somewhere? I might have that chart actually. Hang on, mate. You know, I think I might have that somewhere. Again, I might be digging myself a hole here. Swear over the last couple of days, though, Connor sent me something with squad depth. It's not very deep, to be fair, but... is this it? Yeah. No, is that it? Yeah. So here's our squad depth. Alisson in goal with Kelleher. Right back... no, that's not it. Sorry, that's the strongest 11 one. Sorry. Again... my own stupidity there, my friends, apologies. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't find it at the moment. We basically have pretty much almost two players in most positions. But are those two players enough, and is it going to be good enough? So there's a lot to be said for having the likes of a Joe Gomez, who is... what's that old phrase again? A jack of all trades and a master of none is sometimes better than a master of one. And Joe Gomez is one of those people who... his versatility saved us last season. Like, genuinely, I think he kept us in a title race with his ability to play and fill in where needed. And yet we're reading about him being left at a matchday squad so he can weigh up his future. And it was a Paul Joyce. I'm going to read something again in a second. 1 second. Yeah, here it is. 1 sec. So Paul Joyce, via @BornRed LFC, said about Trent's situation, I think they've taken their eye off the ball, would be my view on the Trent situation. But geniuses don't take their eyes off the ball. They've an algorithm for that. Surely, with all of their technology and masterful intellect, they can read a fucking contract that says it expires next summer. Now, again, I have no PhD in analytics, but I understand that when a player of Trent's calibre is running down a deal, you best get your finger out of your ass and tie him down to a new deal. Particularly when Real Madrid are sniffing around and he's on holidays with Madrid players. He's definitely been wooed. He's definitely been flirted with. So what you going to do about it would be my question. Crazy to think that despite Liverpool generating over 500 million in annual revenue or net spend under FSG, since 2010 is around 450 million. So what's that? 38 million pound a season average net spend. Now last year was a bigger one. I think last year we had 90 million net spend and the year before was something like 60 million. But thank you, Marcus, as well. And again, I have to be honest and say net spends are not the be all and end all. I've learned enough from the football finance people to understand that it's just a glimpse, a time shot. But it also does give you an indication of at least a willingness to spend. And we've brought in money this summer, a good chunk of it, between the money saved on wages, which was about 18.5 million, the 20 million after we pay back the little bit extra to Fulham, or 21 million after the Carvalho sale. We're about to get about 10 million pound for Bobby Clark, and we got about 8 million from the deal that took Solanke from Bournemouth to Spurs. Now, that's a lot of money. That's north of about, 50 million quid saved. So we're up money this summer. But we're supposed to believe the owners want to win. Cool. Much love from the Netherlands. Absolutely love the content you make. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you. Again, I don't have a form of content. I literally just come on every day and talk about how I feel and the few bits of news I've read. But if you enjoy how it's presented, I'm very happy about that, mate. Thank you. Ryan said, Barry, a legend. If that venture goes well, buy the club. Give us a proper owner. Yeah, please do, Barry. Buy the club. Definitely. And if you do buy the club, I don't want anything off you other than, I don't know, to be allowed into a press conference. That would be nice. Isaac said, thank you for all your work. We love you. Thank you, man. Look, I do feel very loved and very humbled over the last few months with how things have changed around, I know, and the support you guys have given us. That reassures me that we must be doing something right. I must be saying something. How I feel must be how a lot of people are feeling. So, what other topics do you guys want us to discuss tonight? You know, because I can run through my list, of course, and go through the topics, but this is an audience-based show. I want to know how you're feeling and what subjects you'd like me to discuss. Craig, you've been doing the game Absolutist with David Lynch for the weekend's game. Will you be doing the game? I don't know what you mean by I think you've had an autocorrect there. I'm trying to figure out what's happened. I think we're going to try to get David on for a video on Friday. We have to check his availability there, and then it will be the day after matches that David comes on and we discuss the game. Of course, outside of the transfer window, days after. During the transfer window, be a bit of everything. But I've loved being able to talk with David and hear his insights. You know, David Lynch used to work for Liverpool Football Club as part of the media team, I believe. And he's a really, really sound, down-to-earth, fun person. Like, great sense of humour. You know, just an honest fella. And do you know what I love most about him? He never judged us. He could, because he's on LFC TV at times. You know, he's able to go to... He never judged us. He took us as he found us as a channel. And he said to me behind the scenes that he's been amazed how professional we run things and how quickly we make sure when we do say we're going to do something, we do it. And it's been a pleasure to work with him. Inacio. Right, on Inacio, I genuinely don't have a Scooby-Doo what's happening there. You know, this feels like the new, what was that dude's name? Yeah, probably too old for Sabrosa, but it feels like that transfer we've been linked to for a few years that may or may not ever materialise. But again, if it is him, my big question would be, what are we waiting for? You know, if Sporting are telling the media or briefing their media that they might accept 38 million, what are we waiting for? Because I can't imagine Sporting's prices getting less by the day as the end of the window approaches and their opportunity to strengthen is decreasing. But this window does give me a vibe of we're waiting for a few things to all line up. If I was to have an educated guess or another educated guess at how this window is going to pan out, I would assume we have multiple things that need to be all lined up with regards to incomings, outgoings, and other clubs doing their business, which is sound if it works. But if it doesn't work, we get the excuses. And they aren't going to wash for a lot of us this summer. And remember, once the window shuts, we'll all be behind the manager. That's without question. This is not anything other than an argument and a dislike of the way the owners act in the market. For me, that's it. When match day comes, I'm behind the players. I'll critique them if I don't think they played well, but that's my job as a fan. Jessica, thank you for your super chat, Jessica. Said, I've moved from Liverpool to Bristol for uni. Bristol's a cool city, by the way. We were there... Can I say this? We were there for business, let's say, last year. And it's a really cool city. Never been in it before. Connor was over there once, I think, before me. He was over for... I think he went to the Happy Hour live podcast in Bristol, if my memory's right. Thanks for still letting me be connected to the club. You seem humble and kind. I like to think I'm both, but I'm also normal. You know, I don't believe I'm anything different to anybody else. I got lucky. That's the way I look at this, and it's my job to make sure that you guys don't regret hitting that subscribe button. So, to all these people that argue about sensationalist bollocks and fan channels, yada yada yada, people might click to watch a video that's clickbaity. They might be drawn in to click on something, but they're not going to stay if you continuously clickbait and you haven't got substance to what you're talking about and how you present yourself. So that lazy argument, which I got in that email, pisses me off. Because yes, we can draw people into our channel, but it's getting them to stay. That's the hard part. And you only get them to stay by giving them something that they can feel attached to. And I don't know what that is about me, but I'm glad that you're here and you feel connected to us and the club, so thank you. M said, my little boy has autism. You don't pay attention too much. He sits with most nights and finds you hilarious. Thank you for making him happy. I said, I think last night, that about the whole Elmo, my son thing. So I get that, mate. I get it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And hello to your son as well. I know what these little wins are like. So I had one of those little wins over in... Sorry. That kind of struck a chord with me because I had my own little win when we were in SeaWorld. I'll give you context. 1 second. I need to show you something to make this make sense. So bear with me. Okay, so we went to SeaWorld, and this was my son. This was my son's moment. That was my son's moment of peace. And we happened to catch it on photo. And I posted it. I posted it on social media because I was so proud. And it got hijacked by the animal rights activists who start calling us scumbag parents. Because we brought our kid to SeaWorld. Now, I'd never seen my son like that. Until that moment. So, when you mentioned to me about your own son, who also has autism, I get it. I get it, mate. And thank you for sharing that moment. Right. Let's steady the ship. Yeah, those, I know how important those little wins are, mate, in life. And being able to give you one of them and be involved in that, that means so much. Thank you. Let me get back to some comments. Thank you, Carlos, for your super chat. Kaku rumour circulating, Craig. Huge release clause. Amazing channel. Followed you for a few years. Much love to you and the family. I don't know much about Kaku. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to normal. I don't know much about Kaku. I wouldn't have a clue. Is he from Galatasaray? I don't know much, mate, honestly. But at this point, the names will be on the list, and I just want them in so the manager can start working with them, and that we can start being optimistic, you know, because I feel like this team isn't a million miles away. So if it's him, it's him. You know, I don't make these calls. I have my own preferences. You have your own preferences, but if it's Kaku, it's Kaku. I don't know much about him. Thank you, mate. It did. It did, because I consider myself lucky with my son because he's verbal. I know parents who've never heard their kids speak. So yeah. Again, thank you. As a United fan, I like your content, Craig. I do take an interest, not just Liverpool fans here. You're a good man. Thank you, Reese. I don't know what to say to this. Thank you, Brian. And it really angered me, mate, when that simple expression of amazement at Lucas being so serene and calm, and a father just posting that just to go, so proud of that little moment, to be hijacked. And it's one of the things that just drove me away from social media, and just thinking there's no way I belong in this world of social media, because what type of prick would be that horrible to another human being about their child? Without context, of course, without, understanding why it's an important moment. But thank you, Brian, man. I can't thank you enough for that, but thank you. Tom said, "You're a legend. You're the one of us that some of us have never met. Keep it up. You're on an amazing channel and you're a good bloke." Thank you. Appreciate that. And thank you, Mike, as well. I'm sorry that this has been a weird stream so far, but we still have time to turn it around and get back to football. So thank you for all of that. Yeah, that was a lovely... That's one of those moments you don't plan for, I guess, when you're doing a stream. You can't figure out that something's going to touch on your heartstrings like that did that moment. So yeah, thank you for sharing that insight, and I hope you're a young man as well and enjoying the stream or life in general. And if I can make him smile, that's amazing. I'm trying to figure out what else was in my notes. So other than that, I don't know what to expect for the remainder of the window, but I know that my own goodwill towards believing or trusting in the owner's best intentions are minimal at this point. So on that poll for Jarrad Branthwaite, 70% of you guys have said yes, you would take him. 30% said no. We almost had 4,700 votes on that. So again, a big sample size there, and the majority of people at least tuning into this stream would be happy. And as always, I would caveat it by saying I would imagine some of the no's were maybe opposition fans who don't want us being strengthened, and I get that as well, of course. Eddie Cox-Wilkin said, "I hope you don't mind me saying this, but we are family." Yes, we are. We're one big, dysfunctional, fucked up family. Absolutely, mate. And that's, as I said to you guys many times over the years, I started this whole journey by going onto social media to interact with other Liverpool fans, because I was isolating myself. And that grew to this, which of course I never seen happening. So yeah, it's we are a family, definitely. Some of us have met, some of us may never meet. But that's why I love these live shows so much, because I get to find out who TOTT2KZ1 is, and I get to find out who Mark, our moderator, is. I get to meet these people in real life that I've interacted with, shared moments with, happy and sad, angry over the years. It's class. That's why we do the shows, just to get to meet people and say hi. Leach, how are you, my man? Said, "In 1 year's time, we could be in a world where Trent, Salah and Virgil leave. How are we allowing this to happen and to be in this position?" And do you know what, mate? As scary as that sounds, or as scaremongering as it sounds, it's absolutely possible. I was reading something today on Salah. I think it was about his performance yesterday, and it was really good. Great performance, goal, assist, looked good, sharp, physically there. Certainly no signs of decline at this point of the season for Mo. He looked sharp. So the conversation led to whether he will be renewed or not. And this again is where I don't understand the thought processes of the club. if you want to keep Mo at the club and you think that he's still got a lot to give, yeah, you have to pay. And remember, I think Dr. Ian Graham, who again I hold in very high regard, who's been doing the rounds on, I think, Red Men and the Blood Red podcast, because he has a book coming out, which again I would certainly say, if you're a fan of statistics and understanding maybe how the club is running a bit, must be worth a read. I've heard very good things about the book. So he was saying that it's far better to spend money on wages than transfers, because you get a better, for want of a better phrase here, better bang for your buck, which is what makes the Salah situation a bit more confusing. Because even I, who have been saying he's in decline a bit, have to say, if he goes on doing numbers like he's doing, even if the eye test to me shows he's not taking on a man the same, he's still impacting games in a good way. So why hasn't he been given a new deal? That baffles me. Like, I was adamant that you can't let him go for free. That was my argument with Mo the whole time. We cannot let him walk out the door for free. I did think at the end of last season he's not worth a pay rise, but if you can get to an agreement with him, again, make it happen. And why are we doing this, or why aren't we doing this outside of a window before it gets to this point? Same with Virgil. We're all seeing that Virgil is playing well. He's the captain. Only ever says he loves the club. No interest in talking to him yet, or not a preference. I don't care what bullshit you tell an agent or a player. It's very easy to understand how somebody could not feel the love. If a new shinier toy is taking the club's attention more than you who've been there, done it, worn the t-shirt, won the league, give him a new deal. And if you don't think he's good enough, sell him. But you can't keep letting players walk out the door on freeze. So again, to all the people that like to speak down to the rest of us and tell us that we don't understand, well, make us understand. That's why I'm so pissed off about this whole blackballing of Anfield Agenda by the club. I get that we're very different, but teach me. Give me your side. Give me the opportunity to give you my side. Don't just blacklist us, because all that's going to do is, well, if you knew anything about me, all that's going to do is make me more determined to ram it back down your fucking throat. Not in a physical way, but I'm only still here making content because people trolled me. I would have given up years ago if certain people had have stopped trying to destroy my credibility and reputation. But I made a promise, and I've read out my phrase to you many times. Many times I've read this out. It's something I live by, stand by. It's a Warren Buffett quote that says, work hard in silence, do what you have to do, ignore the drama and negativity surrounding you, let your success be your noise. And I've done that. And those same people who went out of their way to lie about me, belittle me, dox me, one by one, month by month, year by year, have come crawling back into my DMs, apologising and asking, can we wipe the slate clean? And I always say yes. I always say yes. Because it takes a big person to at least put their hands up. But that's how I feel about the owners and this whole unhealthy relationship of not listening or having a dialogue. So let's just say, and I don't know any of this for a fact, but let's just say Arsenal didn't like AFTV, or the United don't like Brent, or Liverpool don't like me, or Newcastle don't like True Geordie, whatever. I don't know any of that to be a fact, but let's just for 1 second say it's possible. What are you going to gain by keeping them at arm's length? Other than adding more fuel to the fire. Surely, at a time where everybody is divisive, at least opening a dialogue, a civil, respectful conversation is the way forward. No? This is why we reached out to the club, to just ask for our position in the Liverpool media landscape to be looked at. Not asking for anything anybody else hasn't got, but we want a level playing field. And if the reason is because we're outspoken, that says more about the insecurities of those who run the club and own the club, if they think that they can just dampen down. The club know damn well about Anfield Agenda at this point. I know this because, as I've said to you before, they've reached out to Liverpool supporters clubs. Here's a little inside story for you. Every time we go to a city to do a show, we reach out to the local supporters club to offer them tickets for their members for free as a gesture, because we're coming into the club. We want to meet Liverpool fans. We want to meet our fellow fans. And not one has ever accepted, replied, or acknowledged. Not one. Now, where's the "you'll never walk alone" aspect of that? It's hypocrisy. It's bullshit. It's all pigs are equal, but some pigs are more equal than others. And that's what drives me on, is that anger at the hypocrisy that we're being held to a standard that they don't hold themselves to. Whether it be racism removed from the game or hate. Okay, you're right, it should be removed. Why isn't Enzo Fernandez serving a fucking ban? This isn't an anti-Chelsea rant. This is a human decency. If I sang that song, I'd be cancelled. If you sang that song, you'd be cancelled. But he's made captain. But you'll see all the kick it out, remove hate, see it, report it. You'll hear all that. And when a player gets racially abused by a fan in DMs, which is absolutely disgusting, you'll hear all about that. Claude made a mistake. He was held to account. And he was a good man. So where's the fucking hypocrisy then? I'm not wrong. You know I'm not wrong. And that's why football's moving away from its class roots. Because it's been taken over by people who don't understand us. Who aren't one of us. Who think we're all just a nuisance if we speak out. As I've mentioned many times, in life, you get politicians that you don't agree with, but they take questions from the media. They sit down and do interviews, even with opposing media, because it's their job to try to make sure that they win people around. And a lack of dialogue has always ended in trouble. Look at what's going on right now in Europe. There's a problem, again, I'm not getting into politics, there's a problem around immigration. And if anybody says anything even remotely anti-allowing people in, they're right-wing and nut jobs. But there are, I would imagine, millions and millions more people who just have a question or two that maybe they don't understand a policy and maybe they want to just clarify something. But they're all being vilified and boxed off as nut jobs. On both sides, by the way, whether you're pro or anti. I'm not giving you a stance on any of this. I don't talk politics. I'm just trying to explain why this stuff angers me. Stop putting people in boxes and talk to us. And you'll find that we all have a lot more in common than we do that'll divide us. And then we'll get improvements. And that applies to football fan content and media and anything else as well. Pushing people away doesn't work. Never has worked, never will work. Find common ground, talk, solve our differences, and then we'll move forward. And that was why, and one of the reasons why, Jurgen was so special. Because he transcended football. Because he's a good human being. And that is why I love that man so much. Apart from his footballing genius. That's why Scousers took to Jurgen so much. Because, yes, he's a great football coach. But he is a good, damn fine human being on top of it. Who will stand his ground and speak for the disenfranchised if he feels something needs to be said. Even if it costs him financially or his reputation. It's easy to play the game. It's easy to be a two-faced prick. But it's very hard to stand your ground and be honest. Remember, I wasn't let into America for being honest. I'd already got through part of security. And if I just said the words holiday, that Boston show would have went ahead. But I said, we're doing a show. We have all our tax in order with the IRS. Everything's good to go. And we had one wrong, slightly wrong thing on a visa. And the Homeland Security agent said, this is a common mistake. So it's common, but you don't rectify it by making it clearer. And what was my gift for being honest? Removal from the visa waiver program for the rest of my life. So if I want to go to America on holidays now, rather than just going to get an ESTA, I have to go and do an interview at the American Embassy and provide more fucking information than I'd give a mortgage application to go on a holiday. Not because I broke the law or have a criminal record or anything. All because I said the words, I'm doing a show, instead of what every other fan channel, I believe, that went to America would say, which was, I'm going on holiday. Make that make sense. It's a mad world, isn't it? At times, like, trying to rationalise some of this crap. Zubamendi had such a bad game that the manager is trying to reignite rumours. What? Give me that again? By the way, we're only 77 likes away from getting to 1,000 tonight, and we've been on this mad run of having 1,000 likes for, like, I don't know how many days in a row now. So yeah, if you can drop a like, please do. Did I miss something here on the Zubamendi stuff? Because he started on the bench today for Real Sociedad. They lost 2-1. He scored, actually, in the second half. He scored at the very end of stoppage time. They lost 2-1 to Rayo Vallecano. But have I missed something since? Craig, could you say congrats to my friend's son John, who just got his first national coaching certificate at age 17? That's John. Truly, mate, I've never met you, but you're on a good journey. Keep going. You've got your first national coaching certificate. Well in, young man. Wish you every success with it. And I hope that Jay Muse pops into the chat and tells me in 2, 3, 4 years' time that you're on to bigger and better things. Well done. Well done. Put yourself out there. Make the best of yourself and enjoy it. Proud of you, mate. Well done. His manager said he can't guarantee he won't leave last minute. Huh. Now, again, that could just be a factual statement. You know, because he can't guarantee he won't leave last minute. But it doesn't mean it's probable. I'm just reading. I've actually got the quote sent to me now. 1 second. And by the way, thank you for sticking with me earlier on during that emotional minute or two. It was it's just one of those things in life that you can't plan for. It just happens, and something in that gentleman's post just reminded me of a special moment, as I said, that I had with my own son. And yeah. So Real Sociedad's manager Imanol said, "I can't even say Zubimendi will not leave at the last minute." I don't want to let myself get optimistic, you know. Is it wrong, by the way, that, you know, the whole Zubi-Doo thing that I got absolutely slated for on social media? Is it wrong that I'd already planned out a video if he did come? As a, like, how you like me now kind of vibe? But I have no idea, lads. I've no idea. All I know for certain is that we are 11 days to go in the window. Well, after midnight, 11 days to go. So, right now, 12 days and 48 minutes left in the transfer window. And as of yet, we haven't made a single signing. I'm not sure if I've missed some of these, by the way. So, I'm going to go back. I've done that one. I don't think I did this one from Ryan. Ryan said, "Craig and Michael, thank you for sharing those incredibly special moments. This is why I love this channel. It's why I love it as well. And it's why I've said to you guys so many times that don't ever come in and thank me, because you guys have done just as much to help my life out. And I don't mean on a financial level, on a personal human level, that you never need to thank me for a damn thing. But yeah, appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you. And that's why I love this channel as well, mate, and the community. And it's why the community is the first words out of my mouth when I speak to anyone about the channel. It's because it's the thing I'm most proud of. You're great, caring, and that's why we're all here. Thank you. I know I'm also a raving lunatic occasionally, mate. But I love it. I love the emotion that football provokes in us. And I love that we got off to a winning start yesterday. How nice was it to have those few hours where we just watched football? We didn't have to be accountants or data analysts. We just got to watch football, and we just got to remember why we're drawn into the sport and the game and the club. So BNDH2 2011 asks, "Are there any reasons why Darwin didn't play?" So my guess would be, again, the short turnaround time from when he met up with the boys for pre-season versus how long Diogo Jota would have had working with Arne Slot. At least my reading of the situation wouldn't be that there's nothing to worry about. I would just assume it's that he didn't have as long on the training pitch and maybe isn't up to the fitness levels or the understanding of how Arne wants him to play the role yet. And that's all I can guess, because Arne's already come out and said that, you know, he wants to work with him, he's excited to work with him. We all love Darwin. So yeah, I don't think there's anything too deep to it other than that. Would you rather FSG or Chelsea's owners? FSG. Yeah, FSG. And I've no problem saying that, because one thing I don't have to worry about, and you don't have to worry about, is waking up tomorrow to hear we're about to be deducted points or an investigation's going on into our finances because we've hidden money offshore or whatever. And I'm not, again, saying Chelsea did that, but they have some headaches that we don't have to deal with. And a cast of thousands for their squad. So, yeah, no, I would rather FSG. I'd rather FSG than a lot of owners. My big gripes with FSG are just around the transfer windows. And previous stuff. But, again, lots of stuff is in the past. The Super League stuff is in the past. Even though I don't believe for 1 second that he meant the apology, it is in the past, and you've got to find a way to move forward. And we have. My only anger that carries on is through every window. Sometimes you look at a window and go, yeah, okay, fair enough, we might need that in this window. Mainly the January ones. And I understand that's a difficult window as well for various reasons. But this summer has just been an absolute shit show, where we once again had a reputation dragged through the coals because of a player not wanting to come to us, who we bid for, or, well, maybe not actually bid for, but who we were waiting to give the money to trigger the release clause. It was flashbacks of last year, and it made me feel particularly annoyed at myself, because I remember saying, kind of arrogantly probably, there's no way Edwards allows this to happen. If Edwards was here last year, there's no way that happens. And then it happened. Now, again, I get the players can change their mind, but that's where the reading of somebody comes into it. You know, sometimes there's a phrase in poker that says, play the man, not the cards. And I felt like that was what was missing from their analysis. You can look at as many numbers, run as many variables as you want, but sometimes you got to just look somebody in the eye and just get a read. Any chance of a recap? Absolutely. We spoke about Georgi Mamardashvili, and we asked, are Manchester United going to come in and hijack us for Mamardashvili like, who was it said it? Which newspaper said it? 1 second. The Sunday Mirror said Jadon Sancho's future could hold the key to Manchester United hijacking Liverpool's move for Valencia goalkeeper Georgi Mamardashvili. Then we spoke about Arne Slot's changes and the dual successes. So in the first half against Ipswich, Liverpool only won 22 duels and lost 31. In the second half, when Arne Slot brought on Canade and gave the lads a speech about winning their battles, there was a swing of 13 in the other direction, where we won 24 duels and lost only 20. So we're up 4 instead of being down 9. That was very interesting to read in The Athletic. And again, a little measure of the cleverness of Slot and his team for spotting that so quickly. Because I tell you what, I like to think I know football, but I wasn't spotting that. So that's definitely an area where the data analysts can come into their own. You know, he was able to go into the dressing room like that, go straight in and say, never mind the tactical stuff, win your battles. Go out there and don't let that happen again. Win your battles and we win the game. And they did. And I'm simplifying that, of course, but it was really impressive to watch, to see those tweaks happen. I'm going back through. I don't think there's much else, mate, we really spoke about tonight. We talked about the Trent, Virgil and Salah contract situation, squad depth. We talked about Paul Gorst saying it was stressed this week that the return of Edwards now in place as FSG CEO of football and the de facto head of the club on a day-to-day basis will shift back towards the policy of targeting their number one game-changing targets. Again, that's great if you get them, but we've missed many. Tchouaméni, Lavia, Caicedo, Subamendi. So it's a great system if you're willing to pay the money that it takes to get them and they want to come. But if it doesn't, you just can't write off an entire transfer window again. Then there was a report saying Joe Gomez is a viable alternative for Newcastle should Marquet not make the move from Crystal Palace. Newcastle have had, I think their latest bid was about 65 million turned down. On top of that, Bobby Clark, according to Dave O.C. Kopp, has agreed personal terms with Salzburg. He's set to sign a 5-year deal, 11.65 million transfer from Liverpool, and Clark will probably travel for his medical and to complete the formalities on Tuesday. Then there was David Ornstein's comment that was Liverpool are only going to sign players they're absolutely convinced by. I think this is quoting David Ornstein, I think. They aren't going to be persuaded by external pressures. Like little things like not winning a league title won't put the pressure on them. If they want to take 4 years to find a DM, then my God, they'll take 4 years. Don't mind little things about, I don't know, season ticket holders or fans being pissed off. External noise doesn't matter, as long as we can be so pig-headed about our targets that we couldn't possibly entertain somebody else. And then David said, we've got to watch them the last couple of weeks of the window, but the same rules will apply for the transfer approach. Fabrizio Romano said something similar. It's just rinse and repeat with journalists this summer. You know, I could tell you, I could go on any fan channel of any different club and know nothing about the club and say to you, yeah, so let's just say I go on a Chelsea fan channel and go, oh yeah, your director's working on deals. They won't be rushed. The talks are going on with agents. They're working on stuff in the background. I expect they might do something in the next few weeks. I mean, seriously? That's the expert? That's the transfer guru in Romano? What are they working on? Who are they working on? When might it happen? Is a bid coming in? If you know something, say it. Other words, you're just waffling. Which is ironic coming from me, but I'm Irish. We're bred to waffle. Thank you for everything. Nothing less than love watching your videos. You are the ordinary one. Keep it up, boss. Oh yeah, I'd happily take that mantle from Jurgen if it's going. I'll be the ordinary one. I'll take that. Would you start Diaz or Gakpo against Brentford? Good question. I'd have to see what right back he'd be matched up to. So whoever, there's going to be battles and physicality against Brentford. No surer thing than that. Much like Ipswich, they're a big team. They know how to use their physicality. They'll kill the clock at times. This is why I think early goals or bright starts in these games are important. Probably start Diaz, to be fair. Because, well, I say that, and I was about to follow it up by saying because he created loads of chances yesterday, but he didn't score them. And I have to feel that Cody probably would have finished one or two of them. But this is a good headache, because I truly would trust either of them. Also, following up on my previous super chat, I watch your lives all the time, and the watch-alongs, they're amazing. Mentally, they give me a boost. Thank you. I love them as well. I love being involved. I love doing stuff that I'd never do in real life, like singing, really. I wouldn't go out. I wouldn't even do karaoke in a pub. But I feel comfortable with you guys to do stupid shit like singing, make up stupid songs. Yeah, they're lovely. I love the watch-alongs. They're my favourite part of doing all of this. That and the interactions. Stargirl, welcome back in, my friend. Said, wouldn't surprise me to wake up one morning to find the club was being sold. FSG only paid 300 million for the club, and now it's worth about 5+ billion, huge profit. And honestly, I'd have no issue with that. Like I've said all along, them making money at the back end is fine as long as they keep us competitive. But the 300 million that they bought the club for has almost, I guess, somehow being repaid, because they sold, was it 11% of all of their holdings to Redbird Capital? So they would have got a chunk of what they paid for the club back, depending on what way you want to break down that. Was it 500 and something million or whatever it was? So they're almost playing with house money at this point. And they're sitting back seeing the valuation grow every year because of the strength of the Premier League, the television revenues. So, you know, if they can keep hovering around 4th, 5th, Champions League football, you know, it's going to keep things going in the right direction on a financial front. But that doesn't wash for us as fans, particularly when we've had a little taste of winning and are rightly asking, why didn't we kick on from that? Because it's not like we had a full cycle or a dynasty where we dominated. Yes, we were up against, and I don't know what words to choose here, so I'll just say Manchester City. But there was many times we felt a signing or two would have made a difference and maybe would have overturned that 1 or 2 points. Steve, how are we, my man? Said, if Joe leaves, Trent is our longest serving player. Wow. How mad is it to think Trent's only 25 now and technically in his prime? That blows my mind. Like, same with Joe only being, 26, 27. Joe feels like he's been around forever. Which, again, I cannot for the life of me understand, Steve, why Trent hasn't been given a new deal. I don't get it. Because surely the longer it goes on, common sense would dictate it's going to cost you more money. Especially when, you've got interest from elsewhere to leverage. And the club, I mean, they've been able to sidestep a lot of fan anger, but letting Trent go on a free, if it happens, that's unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable. Craig, are you worried players like Trent won't sign new deals because of the lack of spending at the club? I have to say, it's certainly been a concern. Christian, yes. Obviously, I don't know Trent, I don't know Virgil, I don't know Mohamed, but you would understand, I think is the fairest way to say it, if they came out and said, we don't see the club showing ambition. I'm an ambitious person. I'm being Trent here, by the way. I'm an ambitious guy who's came through the ranks at my hometown club, won everything I could possibly win, which he has, proven myself to be a difference maker, and you don't think enough of me to give me a new deal when I'm inside the last year of my contract. And if I'm him, I'm assuming that arrogance on the club side comes from thinking he won't leave because he's a local boy. Again, I'm making a lot of leaps here and I don't know any of this. This is just my opinion as I was asked. So then you get to the point of your Trent where you ask, well, is leaving my hometown club something I'm interested in? And if he hadn't won a Premier League or a Champions League, then maybe you think, no, because, if he doesn't win a league title with Liverpool, he'll regret that forever. He's done it all. He could go to Real Madrid tomorrow and still look back at his time at Liverpool and think, I achieved my dreams at my boyhood club. Vice captain, Champions League winner, 2 League Cups, FA Cup, Super Cup, Club World Cup. Won it all. So, again, this is why I don't understand how this has happened. Because we were talking about it on the channel 9 months ago, saying, how are we letting Trent, 18 months to go now, get your finger out, get going. This is when you should be talking. Because the perceived wisdom has always been that when a player enters into the last 2 years of their deal, that's when you start the talks. 18 months, getting a bit tetchy, but still time. To let this happen, knowing that Real Madrid are sniffing around, and not just any Real Madrid who've just built a monument to football in replenishing and revitalising the Santiago Bernabeu, who've brought in Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, have just won the European Cup, and know that Trent could maybe be on a free, and we aren't tripping over ourselves. There should be smoke coming out of Richard Hughes. He's running that fast towards Trent's house with a contract. I don't understand any of it. Craig, love the channel, but whole Enzo think mad. Do you mean Enzo thing mad? So, as I said at the time, this wasn't an anti-Chelsea thing. If this had been a Spurs player, I'd be saying the same thing. He sang the song. He chose to go on social media live, singing the song about the French players, where they originated from. Publicly, did it. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. And then gets given the armband. No bans, no suspensions, just come in, apologise to your players because, we did pay 100 and something million quid for your fella. where's the accountability? Is my question. Where's the accountability? When there's a concerted effort to educate football fans on, especially younger ones, on what songs aren't acceptable because of lyrics that are homophobic or xenophobic or whatever, and that's sound. I'm fully behind removing hate education or adding education about these subjects. I'm absolutely on board with it, as is everybody I know. But you can't just tell us that it only applies to us. You can't just give banning orders to people and throw them out of stadiums and rip up season tickets and take them to court and make examples of them when a player is racially abused, but when players are doing it, that's okay? That's my point. That's the hypocrisy of this crap that doesn't sit well with me. The Zubimendi news isn't breaking again that I'm aware of, mate. The only news is that his manager said he can't 100% say he'll be here at the end of the window. I mean, if that's news, fair enough. But until we get a Paul Joyce or a David Ornstein or somebody saying the deal's back on, I wouldn't be putting too much faith in it. So, clarification and actual translation of the Sociedad manager and his comments on Zubimendi. Credit LFC transfer room for this. This happens every year. Teams coming for the players. To everyone, to all the managers, sporting directors, every summer there's movement. Marino and Lenormand, there's no two players like them. And I wouldn't even tell you about Zubimendi leaves or not last minute. Sarcastic. They're all unreal players. Due to the things that they've done with us, Lenormand has left. Arsenal wanted Marino and Liverpool was willing to pay Zubimendi's clause. But we can't find excuses every time there's no Marino and Lenormand. So nothing about that to me signals that the deal's back on. Again, sarcasm was highlighted there in the translation. So again, I wouldn't be getting excited about it. If there is something to get excited about, we'll get excited about it. But of course, right now, it doesn't look like that's the case. I'm going to do 10 more minutes, folks, and then I'm going to call it a night because voice is starting to get a bit raspy. Branthwaite update. So the only real, I guess, interesting thing about Branthwaite is Anfield sector saying Branthwaite to Liverpool was 8-1 this morning. Now, I've personally seen it at 2-1 at one point in the day. And according to Bet365 now, Jarrad Branthwaite is more likely to join Liverpool than not join Liverpool. So he's 4-5 on to join Liverpool. Again, that only indicates that money has gone on the deal. That's all that indicates. Transfer odds shift when money gets put on something happening. Sometimes that's mass hysteria. Sometimes it's somebody knows something we don't know. So I wouldn't... I'd love it to be true. I hope to God it's true. But bookies' odds are never anything other than an indication of where the money's going. What's the Joe Gomez situation? The latest is... I'm trying to look back through my notes. One sec. Oh, I forgot to read this out earlier on as well. Leicester are facing 2 separate points deductions from the Premier League this season for breaking spending rules. So Leicester facing 2. But City, well, we'll see what happens there. Does often at times feel like the little boys are being kicked sometimes. So the Daily Mail said, and again, it's the Mail, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it does tally with a lot of other stuff. Joe Gomez is set to quit Liverpool as he looks for a transfer away after being left at home for the Ipswich Town opener. Now, that's certainly not how it was portrayed to us yesterday, when there was an adult conversation and Joe was given time to assess what he wants to do. And I absolutely believe that when it was put out there from the club, because that tallies with what I've been told when I spoke with David Lynch about the club respect what Joe has done. He's a great servant to the club. He's been here a long time. And if Joe feels like he wants to move on for more first team football, and I don't know again what conversation he's had with the gaffer, the club will adhere to try and facilitate that if obviously we could get a replacement or whatever. That's all I know about it. Brian Woodward said, made a big lapse in judgment, 100%. Right, but if I did it or you did it, mate, that phrase isn't going to wash, is it? Do you get me? Like, if you're removed from a football stadium for singing a racist song, a song with racist tropes in it, that I made a lack of judgment shit ain't going to wash, is it? Because nobody's going to listen to you, because you're getting banned. If you don't get taken to court, you're getting your season ticket removed anyway. And that's my problem with all of this, is I'm fully behind removing hate. Of course I am. But you can't have a two-tiered system like every other walk of life, where we have a two-tiered legal system in the world. You know, to those of us who've read Animal Farm, and I was forced to read it in school, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others, always springs to mind in these situations. Clubs often have morals until their finances come under threat, and then morals become open to interpretation, to say the least. So that's my point, mate. You know, you or I wouldn't get away with that. A fan posting at a football player with that type of sentiment would rightly be held to account. But nobody paid 100 million quid for me, or you, like. After today, I really wish we'd gotten the Lavia deal over the line. He was class today. It would have been so good, in my opinion. Do you know what? I did watch the game, but I can't say I kept a particular eye on Lavia. It was funny, though, watching Kovacic just kind of stroll through the middle of Chelsea's midfield while 250 million quid's worth of players were just standing there watching. Damien Cotton said, we always had the money, is there, for the right player, but then they always cheap out. Exactly. So we have the money for a generational talent. Then the generational talent becomes available. Let's say in this case, Lenny Yoro. We don't want to pay that wages. We can't guarantee him playing time straight away. That's the excuse. We can compete with other clubs in the transfer market until we can't. Now, today the nonsense is Liverpool will not be shifting away from their absolutely cast iron belief that they have the perfect guys and that's it. If they don't get these guys, they're not moving. Well, then do what you have to do to get them. If you're not willing to pony up the dough or pay the wages, stop talking a big game. Stop trying to make yourself sound clever. Because all it is to us fans is another window you haven't spent money in and the squad hasn't been strengthened in. Everything else, as they like to say, is just outside noise to us fans. So we don't want to be distracted with accountants or the Geek Squad. We want to look at a squad and a manager and think, we can win stuff with this. It's not that hard. So that's our side of this equation. As fans, I mean. And what good is all the other stuff? All the data, all the patting on the back, all the circle jerking of each other, unless you get the job done. They're all, I'm sure, on very high salaries. And there's one more question that I'd love to ask. And I asked this of Brian last night and he didn't know the answer. And I'll ask it again. You know, when we hear about wages and how high Liverpool's wages are, my genuine question, this is not facetious, it's a real question. When we get told how much money is being spent on wages at Liverpool Football Club, are the executives, the coaches, the data analysts, the kitchen staff, the groundskeeper, are all of those included? Because if so, how much are some of these guys getting paid? Now obviously, we'll never know that, and therein lies the fucking genius. Confidentiality, can't tell you. Because I've always wondered, how is it that we can have Mohamed Salah on 350, Trent on 200, Virgil on about the same, most other players then somewhere between 60 and 120, and our wage bill is particularly high compared to City's or Spurs or anybody else's? Never really adds up to me. And again, I'm open to being too thick to understand that, but explain it to me. Because if that is the case, then are these lads really pulling their weight to deserve some of these big wages? Craig, you said you want new owners. Did I when? When did I say that, Thorsten? Show me it. Because it definitely wasn't fucking today. Nor, I don't believe, I think up until yesterday or the day before, I haven't said FSG out once this whole summer. So, again, I'm happy to live and die by my words if they're my actual words. But when did I say I wanted them out? In fact, I'm almost certain I said my big issue with these guys is that when it comes time to transfer season, they don't do their job. And the rest of the time, they do a pretty good job. So again, if you want to try and be a smart arse, at least get your fucking facts right. I never said that. I've always said that there are far worse owners out there. Always. Because there are. But again, why is that the yardstick that we're measuring this by? The boogeyman that might come along against the assholes who are here. See? So again, mate, I've responded to you, but you're wrong, because I haven't said I want new owners, have I? You did say that the other day. And again, if you listen to what I just said, I said, I think a day or two ago, I said, yes, I'm FSG out. But the grass isn't always greener is such a hypothetical boogeyman argument. It's like it's a straw man argument. Because I can equally reply to you to go, but there are a lot better owners out there as well. So does that not make me more right? If I want to say to you, well, we could have better owners, why is the negative owners trumping the potential positive owners? They cancel each other out, right? And like everything else on these extremes, most are in the middle. So I'm aware, mate. I've said multiple times on this channel, the days of a local man or woman do well in business, buy football club, that's over. Football's too big business now. It is billionaires, investment funds, venture capitalists. That's who buy football clubs now. So I'm well aware that there could potentially be worse owners. But again, that cannot constantly be used as a way to justify these cheapskates. I genuinely think people have lost their fucking minds in the chat. Rewind back 30 seconds when I said it the other day at FSG out. So Kieran said, you did say that though. Have I not just explained that even allowing for the fact, if I wanted the owners out, the bullshit argument of, well, it could be worse, is just scaremongering. It could be, it's definitely a possibility. But isn't there also a possibility that it could be better? Or it might be the same. So, again, this is the part that, again, leans into the excuse making for the owners. It's the fear of the unknown, which is the argument. Exactly. And but what are you willing to put up with? And as I fucking said, tomorrow, if I wake up tomorrow and hey, 2 signings are done that I'm happy with and think that'll benefit the squad, you won't hear a peep about the owners out of my mouth. Not a peep. Until the next time I feel that the squad isn't being developed enough. That's my gripe with them. The lies, the Super League, fair enough, but you got to live with that. What I can't live with is being uncompetitive because of a lack of investment in the playing squad. I don't get how that's so hard to fathom. Regardless of whether you think there are better or worse owners out there, the owners that we have aren't doing their bit. At the end of the day, we're just fans who want the best for the club. Exactly. That's it. That's all we want. And wouldn't it be lovely to have owners who match that, or at least showed up and felt a part of the club? Because when we win a Champions League, of course, they're there on the plane with the photo, with the trophy. But when we're playing at home against Brentford or Fulham, are they rocking up at Anfield, showing their love? No. Anywho, Brian or Connor said you can lean towards FSG out without hounding them out of the club every day. Exactly. You've never seen me on here hiring out planes to go over Anfield with signs or anything. All I've ever said is speak up, let your voice be heard. If you're unhappy with the spending, let them know about it. You know, it isn't always one extreme or the other. I think FSG are 60, no. I think there's 70% good owners versus 30% not good enough. Now, when some people make this equation, they might think that's a number they can live with. And I'm cool with that. But the 30% for me is a big 30% because it involves strengthening the squad. And that's probably, along with the manager, some of the most important stuff about football clubs to us fans. It's the team on the pitch, the belief that we can win, and dreaming about the future and what's possible. Didn't FSG say the club was for sale last year? Again, I've got to be honest and say David Ornstein was the only person that I've ever seen say that the club was put up for sale. There was talk of bringing on investors. They always spoke about bringing on somebody who would add value in the bigger picture for the club. And I think still to this day, if they would say they're always open to a partner coming on board who they think can add maybe an area of expertise that, like, again, I'd use the example, Liberty Media, who own Formula 1. I don't know if they still do, but used to own Formula 1. You know, if they came aboard and had an expertise in developing media strategies that could increase revenues, I'm sure you'd dilute down your share then because the overall pie is bigger. But I don't know of, outside of David Ornstein, of anybody else who said that they actually put the club up for sale. Ends opposition is a joke, he fecked up. Appreciate you, Brian. And look, I don't want the man hung, drawn and quartered. You know, even just a fine or Chelsea not using him for a week. You know, but to go make him captain just felt like, wow, that's not reading the room very well. Sorry, I missed the super chat that said, what's the news about Branthwaite? It's the odds on the bookies, mate. Apparently it's gone from 8-1 earlier on today down to 4-5 on that he ends up at Liverpool. Again, all it means is that money has gone down on the transfer happening. Punters have come in and laid down money on it. It's yeah, that's all it means. Martin said, no fan of FSG though. Again, this is my actual answer to this. Why should us fans be fans of any owners? They should be irrelevant. They should be just in the background. I view the owners as just mere custodians of the club. They aren't what defines the club. They aren't what attracts me to the club or you to the club. It's the players, the history, the tradition, the cultural story, the moments. That's why we all love the club. The owners are irrelevant until they're not. Until they become a hindrance to those other things. So I'm not really arsed about being a fan or not a fan of owners. I don't want to know who these people are. Just make sure that you do your fucking job, which is to make us competitive. That's honest. I know it's a really simplistic way of trying to explain it, but that's how I feel. You know, if they're doing a good job and the club's doing well, you know, they shouldn't really be in our... They certainly wouldn't become conversations coming out of my mouth moaning about them. It's just because I truly perceive their lack of pushing on at key moments in certain evolutions of the squads has been a monumental mistake. Kubo interest revived. Is it? I mean, I've only ever read stories about Liverpool's interest in Kubo. I don't know of anybody who has knowledge of it. I've seen other journalists write about it. And when I say other journalists, I mean then the ones I speak to. But I don't know of any interest in Kubo. We've talked about him on the show. We've read the comments out, but I mean, I could understand the attraction. 23. But again, we'll wait and see. Right, folks, I'm going to say goodnight to you, and I'm going to go and grab some dinner. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to record with Liverpool fan in Japan, Sai, tomorrow. That video and the podcast is going to be coming out about that. We're going to be back tomorrow night at 8:45, of course, as always. And appreciate you guys coming in tonight, especially bearing with me earlier on when I got a tad emotional. Thank you to Barry, Brian, everyone that sent super chats as well. Everyone that liked, commented. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you haven't, please do drop a like before you head off. And as you can hear, my voice is starting to go. So I'll catch you.